Dear CD Projekt Red, like millions of other people, I pre-ordered Cyberpunk 2077 and played it on release day. And like everyone else, I realized immediately that this game was just not finished. I like your game, I do. I put over 70 hours into this thing. But imagine if Peter Jackson had shown you a cut of Lord of the Rings where the effects weren't quite done and you could see boom mics in all the shots and bits of dialogue were just missing. You'd probably say, wow, this looks like it's going to be amazing. I'm so excited to watch it when it's done. But then what if Peter Jackson was like, "Oh no, that's it. This is the movie. This is finished. I mean, maybe I'll update it later, but thanks for the $60." The unfortunate truth is that Cyberpunk 2077 will forever be remembered for its disastrous launch, and I'm not here to rub salt in that wound. But since the game you delivered seems more like a first draft than a final draft, I'm gonna pretend like I'm a book editor and give you some notes. Because I've got plenty of notes. First, we have to talk about the bugs. I mean, I'm sure you know about the bugs. Everybody knows about the bugs. This has been talked about to death, so let's be quick about it. And of course, every game has bugs, especially open world games, but Cyberpunk 2077 takes the bugs to the next level. Yes, the game is playable and completable for people who have a half decent computer and are willing to deal with its problems. I mean, nothing I experienced in my playthrough totally broke the game. There were a handful of times I had to reload to a previous save because I had glitched through the world or got stuck on some geometry or because NPC dialogue wouldn't trigger. And there were also a few times I had to exit and reload in order to fix HUD artifacts that wouldn't clear. This was all definitely very frustrating, but it didn't kill my experience. And truth be told, the vast majority of glitches and bugs I experienced, and the ones I've seen go viral online, were visual and didn't affect my gameplay very much, or not at all. Many of them were actually kind of funny, and taken on an individual basis, these bugs are no big deal. Problem is how pervasive they are, and how the sheer number of them really weigh down the quality of the game. It's distracting, and it makes your whole operation look sloppy. This is especially true when bugs pop up during dramatic or intense scenes. Sorry, but I'm too focused on the gun clipping through this guy's hand in order to pay attention to whatever the hell is going on. In fact, things are bad enough that after a while, it gets difficult to tell the difference between bugs and intended gameplay. In one mission, I had an objective that didn't seem to clear properly. I did the task I was told to do, and in the end I was still able to complete the mission without any problems, but I spent a bunch of time thinking I just missed something. And there's lots of smaller things too, like, why am I able to turn a bottle of water into crafting materials? Is that a bug? Is that a feature? I can't tell. And are my fists really assault rifles? Hard to say. These bugs, along with the performance issues I've heard about on last-gen consoles, are the sort of thing you should address first. And I'm sure you are, and I'm sure you're all working furiously to correct these issues right now. But in its current state, I'm not sure how you can seriously tell people to go out and purchase this game for full price, because it seems much more like a beta test.
In 2077, they voted my city the worst place to live in America.
Of course, I want to talk about the things that I really like about this game, and the praise that's most frequently heaped on Cyberpunk 2077 is its setting, Night City. It looks amazing, truly. Like, whatever pay bonuses that the marketing team got, or the executives got, hand all that money over to the art department, because Night City pretty much makes this game. It is big, colorful, decadent, and at the same time, kind of grimy and classless. It's like Las Vegas and Bangkok smashed together. The layout is very organic, and it's a fun setting to just walk around. Unfortunately, we don't get too many opportunities to take it all in. Originally, there was supposed to be this train system in the game, which maybe you pulled for time or technical constraints, but I can tell you got really far because there are train stations and train tracks all over the place. And after getting up to these tracks, I can really see how beautiful the city is from above. I don't know what you guys need to do to make it happen, but you need to complete this train system. The fast travel system we got, these strange tourist boxes plopped around the map, is pretty boring, and frankly, it seems kinda rushed or lazy. But backing up a bit, The other great thing about Night City is that it seems really bustling and alive. Like you could walk in any store, sit at any street vendor, or play any of the arcade cabinets littered around the city. Of course, I did feel a pang of disappointment when I realized I couldn't actually do any of that. There are maybe a couple dozen businesses to walk into, most of which are pretty useless for actual gameplay purposes. There's also the huge mega towers where there's only 2 or 3 floors that are actually accessible. And I was hoping to discover more things outside the city, but there's nearly nothing there at all. I hope this gets fixed as the game gets updated. I really do expect to see more. If you guys are going for a fully immersive experience, you really need to add this sort of texture to the world.
Don't tell him nothing. Don't get involved. This muck is deeper than you think.
Don't listen to the Johnny Silverhand haters out there. I really like his story and what he adds to many of the side quests and his overall relationship with the main character V. It's not your typical RPG where you get to choose whether you want to be good or evil, light side or dark side. A lot of it is more about whether or not you agree and sympathize with Johnny. Is he the enemy or is Arasaka the enemy? Maybe both. You can choose to help Johnny, you can choose to screw him over. Or if you're like me, you can sort of indecisively teeter between those two options. There's also a lot to do in terms of content. Yes, the main quest should have been longer. There's this whole montage cutscene near the beginning of the game, and I'm really confused as to why those weren't playable missions, but I appreciate that just doing the major side quests pretty much doubles the length of the game, and some of the best stuff is in those side quests. I'm also pretty happy with the level of role-playing in Cyberpunk 2077. I've seen a lot of people dismissively say that it's not an RPG at all. I've heard people describe it as a linear shooter like it's Titanfall 2 or something. I have no idea what those people are talking about. Sure, there could be more choices with bigger consequences, but there's plenty enough for me. And the skill and perk progression trees, crap, there's almost too much of that. Honestly, I think you can just take some of the perks out of the game, because there's a few in there that seem 100% pointless. And this map, with all these side quests, it's great, but you really need to clean that up a bit. Like first, take the cars off that map. Don't pretend buying a car is a quest. Let us buy cars from a website or something instead, because I don't know what you were thinking with this whole text message nonsense. Also, maybe have some of these side gigs only open up once you complete other side gigs. There's just way too many on the map. You get calls about them way too frequently, and they honestly ended up feeling way too repetitive when I tried to do a bunch of them in a row. Aside from the bugs, the biggest issue with the game is its AI. I hope that you guys have some AI code that's like 95% finished that you just weren't able to implement before release day, because there's just so many problems, and I'd imagine they take forever to fix if you're working on it from scratch. And let's start with the pedestrians. To the game's credit, players can interact with pretty much every NPC, but I'm not even sure why you bothered to program this talk option for standard pedestrians. They never say anything useful, and most of the time they don't even say anything that makes any sense.
They're everywhere.
Hey, I know you got food. Give me some.
Get an honest job.
Walking around the city, I always had to be careful not to make any sudden movements, because the pedestrians freak out if V jumps too much or accidentally does a dash. And the pedestrians never fight back when I try to attack them or steal a car. They just sort of duck for cover, sometimes in the middle of the street, which ironically has caused me to run over them a few times by accident. And when that happens, V gets a visit from the police. Oh, the police. Now, you guys mostly copied the wanted system from Grand Theft Auto, which is fine. That's a good system. The more pedestrians or police you shoot, the more wanted stars you get, and the more wanted stars you have, the more aggressive and difficult the police become. That part is fine. The problem is the terrible police AI you have in Cyberpunk 2077. In this game, to get your first wanted star, the police don't actually need to see you committing a crime. If you accidentally take a turn too wide and run over a pedestrian, easy to do because the driving is so slippery, the police will instantly spawn around you, and I mean instantly. Like, wherever you are, if you commit a crime, they will suddenly be there to completely surround you. The cops are lethal, but don't worry, the police can't actually drive in Cyberpunk 2077, and I mean that literally. Though there are police cars parked around the city, they will not give chase. Start driving away and the wanted stars reset to 0 in about 30 seconds. Honestly, I'd rather you've just removed the police from the game altogether, because they're really just a nuisance more than anything else. And enemy AI in general is also not that great. They don't seem to really react to much properly. I mean, I have this overpowered gun that shoots through walls. Why are they all still trying to take cover? Allies are a problem too, as they constantly walked in front of me as I was trying to shoot somebody. I don't know how long it's going to take to fix these issues, but make it a priority. The AI is it's just so bad.
Hey, is there something I can do for you? Cause I'm kinda busy.
There are, of course, a million other things that need tweaks and fixes, so let me just rapid fire a few more. The car interiors are beautiful, but I'd actually like to be able to see the road when driving in first person. A zoomed out minimap would help out a lot too. Please give us a better way to upgrade clothing so V doesn't have to look like a complete maniac throughout the entire game. V has no reflection on most surfaces. Other NPCs I'll do, not V though. It's just weird. The dynamic lighting in this game is great, but outside during the day, all anyone can focus on is V's shadow. The hacking minigame. Fun at first, but I've done hundreds of these now, and I never want to see the screen again. A perk to just automatically do these would be really, really nice. I could go on, and I'm sure other players have their own list of issues, but I do want to say again that there's a lot I really like about your game. The story is great, the setting is great, and there's so much potential in it, which is why I'm so frustrated with its flaws. I really do hope you guys can someday turn this into a truly great game, but there's a long road ahead of you. All the best.
Shh, it mustn't blink, or the mask will fall off.